Welcome back to another episode of the Ministry of Truth. I am your only host on this show, and good morning to everyone that's out there, to include Carmen. Good to see you, as always. Got some more stuff on, obviously, what's going on in LA, Chicago, New York, and even Nebraska. Weird that we have people in Nebraska rioting for illegal immigrants, which, you'd think Nebraska would be the last place you would see illegal immigrants being arrested. It's weird. But before we do that, obviously we know we got to get started with a little video music. And for those of you, hello, Jilly Fisher. Good to see you. And I'm still mad that you haven't caught me yet, but you caught something else that's brown. Just kidding. But before we get started, I always got to get started with a music video because that's how I like to start the day. This one was actually played yesterday twice, but I figure I'll start off the show with it again because, well, let's start off, with a little anti-Jew magic.
Shut up. Don't shut the fuck up, you bald fuck. Oh, big boss man, don't tell. I'll tell you, you work for me. Okay, go ahead, continue. You little bitch, you work for me. Sure, you bet. For now. Oh, you know? Okay, continue. You're literally saying people should be allowed to make Jew jokes, say whatever they want. Yes, I think people should be allowed to make jokes. So how many motherfucking Jews have to be killed before you stop?
Hey, you could joke about death, you could joke about rape, you could joke about Indians or dead babies, laughing at whatever the fuck that you wanna. Only one thing is sacred, that's Davy. Don't joke about Jews, nah. Don't joke about Jews, hey. Don't joke about Jews, don't joke about Jews, don't joke about Dave. You can laugh about blacks, you can laugh about gays, you can laugh about immigrants in them cages. Joke about anything on this earth, but if it's about Jews, then you might as well save it, bitch. Don't joke about Jews, nah. Don't joke about Jews, hey. Don't joke about Jews, don't joke about Jews, don't joke about Jews, don't joke about David, you are a homo, retarded shlomo, dishing what you can't take. Portnoy, the Jewish faggot, stop trying to drag it, mad at the jokes we make. El Rey's the Rente is losing his mind, loading my Glock, got him screaming out 9. How about I tell you some jokes, Mrs. Portnoy, and you tell me what's over the line. All of you people controlling the media, changing the weather, controlling our minds. Hollywood pedophile lawyers and slum lords that would do anything for a dime. What if I said something that you ain't like? What if I called you a kike? What if I noticed somehow you make money whenever a colored man spits in a mic? What if I told you that Israel is evil and it's time to rise up and...
So, obviously, if you're pro-Zionist, that probably offended you. Which, in fact, I really don't give a fuck. Because they did 9/11. They did October 7th. Shh, don't let them believe you. Yes, maybe some of the Muslims did it, but with all the intel that the Israelis supposedly have, it totally missed them? Right. Anyway, let's get into our first video, because like I said, we got a lot of shit on the riots across the country, and a few thoughts on, hold on, I watched a bunch of shit last night, this morning. Yeah, it's pretty much 97% Israel. Protests. But this one's not protest. This one's a little bit, humor. Apparently this show was on, where the fuck is it? On Netflix, and my daughter actually watches it, which I was like, wait a minute, why have I not seen this shit? Because it's funny, and oddly enough, what's going on in this video is kind of true. So, without further ado, hopefully Netflix doesn't fucking censor me for this shit, but it's only a 3-minute, 39-second video. So, let's bask in the glory of... Hold on. Inside Job.
And the White House is called the People's House because in America, the government works for you.
Bullshit! Listen up, kids. Everything they teach you in school is a lie. You want the truth?
Yeah.
The world is controlled by shadowy elites and shape-shifting lizard people. Have you ever folded a $1 bill? Look, you can make it say boobs. What does it mean? Am I the only one who cares that the president is a robot? Wake up, sheeple! The evidence is right here. These sons of bitches got snipers trained on me for trying to tell you the truth.
Oh.
I love being right. Thank you! Take a flyer for a friend!
Dad, what the fuck?
Has
Yeah,
retirement
dude.
made you go completely insane?
No, but the 5G radio waves in the air have, which you can read all about in my new manifesto, available on Kindle.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't listen to my father, kids. He gets his news from Facebook and Ambien.
Ambien's a great
Ambien's
drug.
a great.
Really
God
clarifies
damn
some
it.
things.
Come on, I'm gonna be late for work. Democracy is real. Have some keychains. Ah!
Hey, Reagan, let's go to the mall and get a Wetzel's pretzel. They got those ones with the cheese inside the crust and...
Dad, I know retirement is tough, but there's more positive ways to get my attention than taking down the deep state.
She talking to me?
Besides, today, I am finally getting that promotion. Imagine it. Me ruling the office with an iron fist. I even programmed an iron fist.
I've seen better.
Oh, have you seen better?
All right, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good, huh?
I want one now.
Welcome to Cognito Inc. We are a company. We are a company.
Good morning, Dr. Ridley.
We are a company.
Look, Dad, as long as you're living with me, we need to set some
What's up,
parameters.
Batmom?
First, no more vodka for breakfast.
Oh, come on.
You can't tell people that the government isn't real.
But it's not.
Oh, god damn it. Well, it may be temporary block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it for a few seconds, and we're going to digest what we're seeing. A guy mopping the floor. Most likely he's illegal, so ICE is on the way. And then you have a robot, which looks like the one from RoboCop 2. I believe it's RoboCop 2. Which is also the one where Detroit is getting fucked up. And then you have Sheeple. Sheeple, people. Haha, that rhymed. All right. Ice is melting. You're right. Aha, and he's cleaning it up. Bigfoot. And Bigfoot's loose.
Can't talk about shape-shifting reptiles.
Good morning, Senator.
You guys see Walt Disney?
Can't tell people the weather is controlled by Gerald from accounting, or that the Dow Jones is controlled by blood sacrifice.
I mean, she's not wrong. And good thing that was this last part of the 3... Oh, shit, I still got a whole minute left to go. Angela.
Shares of JP Morgan Chase up 14 points. Wow!
Rules, rules, rules. When did this become such a boring place to work?
Whoa!
Morning, Dr. Ridley.
Hi.
You know what this dude looks like? Do you guys remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon from when we were kids? The brain that was, inside the dude's... Yeah, that one.
Hi, Steve. Fucking brown noser.
And most importantly, you absolutely cannot tell people that we are replacing the president with a robot, okay?
Oh. We didn't replace the president with a robot? This show was before its time.
Ah, don't be so uptight.
Uptight? You almost exposed the deeps because you wanted a ride to Wetzel's Pretzels. You're lucky I called the
Is
sniper.
that Jägermeister?
Gary, no. No. Ha ha. Save it for stand-up night, Gary. Shit, I'm late. Hey, intern guy, take my dad home. If he gives you any trouble, don't be afraid to lightly tase him.
Y'all ever been tased? Kinda sucks.
Do it. I fucking dare you. You know who I am? I'm Rand motherfucking Ridley, and I used to run this company.
And soon, I will be it. Not higher than a 3. Later, Dad.
Ah, there we go. Now, YouTube, you can eat a dick, because that segment's over. A little bit of morning humor that is actually like a lot of bit of truth. And you know what? You can't handle the truth. Or can you? So we're going to go on to, I believe this is Dallas. Now, one of the things you learn as a young service member in the military is that you do not attend protest. On top of that, you do not attend protest in uniform. And you do not talk bad about the President of the United States because it's in the oath of the enlistment. I served under Bill Clinton. I didn't talk bad about him while I was in office. I served under Barack Obama and George Bush, and I didn't talk, well, maybe I did talk about George Bush. And a little bit of Obama. I gave him a chance. And then Trump was like the last president I had to serve under. And I'm glad I didn't get Joe Biden, because I probably would have gotten kicked out. But this soldier decided she wants to attend a protest in Dallas, totally forgetting her oath of the enlistment, to where she supports and defends the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and will obey the orders of the officers appointed above me. That means the president, who is the commander-in-chief, which is pretty much the highest person we had to look up to. Good morning, Sabby. How are you doing today? L.A., Chicago, New York, Nebraska, and Dallas. Let's start off with Dallas.
We are not pawns for Donald Trump's agenda. Why now? It's because the military was called upon innocent protesters. We, in our oath to serve, we serve the people of the United States. The Constitution, these constitutional rights being
the rest of that.
And just denied, and the military will not be pawns to that. So I'm calling upon the conscience of military members who served previously and now. We have a conscience, we have a mind, and we have a duty and moral obligation to say no and resist evil. We are not pawns for Donald Trump's agenda. Why now? It's because the military was called upon innocent protesters. We, in our oath to serve, we serve the people of the United States. The Constitution, these constitutional rights are being stripped and just denied, and the military will not be pawns to that. So I'm calling upon the conscience of military members who served previously and now.
No.
We have a conscience, we have a mind, and we have a duty and moral obligation
Sorry, I'm
to
a
say no
3%er.
and resist evil. We are not pawns.
So, since we are not pawns, and she thinks, she doesn't have to follow this, I almost said my name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and the uniform form of military justice. So help me God. She must have missed that part where it says the President of the United States. And then you have people in the comments saying, a bunch of bullshit that, they should all rise up. This should be a beginning. Dude, these people will go to jail because it is a direct violation. One, because they're in uniform. We are not allowed to protest. And we're definitely not allowed to protest in uniform. Weird. You're right, Sabby. I almost said my real name, though. I mean, if you want to call me Mike, you can call me Mike. But don't call me Mike. My friends call me Snake. Call me Snake. Yeah. All right, what do we got next? This is Mayor Karen Bass talking about the curfew that is currently in Los Angeles. It starts at 8 p.m. And if you are on the streets, you will be arrested and you will be prosecuted to the furthest extent of the law. Remember, these are isolated to just 2 or 3 streets. And they're just people marching, protesting. Oh, but are they really? You contradict yourself a little bit during this press conference.
Looting. Many businesses have now been affected by or vandalized. Last night, there were 23 businesses that were looted. And I think that if you drive through downtown LA, the graffiti is everywhere and has caused significant damages to business.
If you really want to look for me, I can tell you who has my info because we used to share some program
businesses and a number of properties. So my message to you is, if you do not live or work in downtown LA, avoid the area. Law enforcement will arrest individuals who break the curfew, and you will be prosecuted.
I don't look people up anymore.
Hundreds of officers from police and sheriff departments from across the region and state are working alongside LAPD through a unified command structure.
Oh.
The curfew will be in place tonight from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m.
That's cute.
Looting. Many businesses have now been affected by or vandalized.
Have they?
Last night, there were 23 businesses that were looted. And I think that if you drive through downtown LA, the graffiti is everywhere and has caused significant damages to businesses and a number of properties. So my message to you is, if you do not live or work in downtown LA, avoid the area.
Relax.
Law enforcement will arrest individuals who break the curfew, and you will be prosecuted. Hundreds of officers from police and sheriff departments from across the region and state are working alongside LAPD through a unified command structure. The curfew will be in place tonight from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m. Looting.
We'll talk
Many
about Gavin
businesses
in a
have now.
We will definitely talk about Gavin in a minute. But you see how she's trying to gaslight and say, oh, there's nothing going on. Our LAPD can handle it. Our surrounding police departments can handle it. However, they're not. And then when somebody has to step in and do your job for you, then all of a sudden you become a crybaby. Now, if you don't know that the city of Los Angeles is supposed to hold some World Cup games as well as the 2026 Olympics, I believe. But anyway, so how are you supposed to hold the Olympics when there's the world, as well as the World Cup, people from around the world, if they have visas, to attend these games? You expect them to be like, oh no, what we need to do is we need to let these people protest, but it's okay. We'll ask the federal government later to help us fix this because, well, who's this? Anyway, let me put up this next video. It's part 2 of Karen Bass. And, well, how are you supposed to generate all this revenue from the Olympics, from the World Cup, if you can't even keep your own city clean, you can't even keep your own city safe? Obviously, you don't have enough law enforcement to take care of the city during these 2 or 3 street riots. So, you really expect yourself to handle the Olympics? Do we want another Atlanta? Do we?
Especially of the graffiti that is just blanketing a number of blocks, has been extensive. We are 1 year away from the World Cup. This is about beautifying our city and bringing our city together. And so I am calling on business leaders, community leaders, faith leaders to come together downtown in the next few days to talk about how we are going to clean up the city. Obviously, city workers are already out there removing the graffiti, but this is so extensive, it's going to take community-wide involvement. We had launched a program called Shine LA a couple of months ago in preparation for the World Cup, and now we are called on to direct that citywide. We need people from all over the city to come to downtown and to help with this effort.
Because
especially
they're not
of the
doing it.
graffiti that is just blanketing a number of blocks.
It just keeps rewinding. Speaking of the graffiti, they also graffitied the Kobe Bryant memorial with his daughter Gigi on it. You know, because Kobe Bryant did so much to put these illegal immigrants in jail. He was such a burden to the community that they need to spray paint over it twice. Are these people actually from LA? Probably not. Hello, Batmom. And now we're going to go back to when protesters think, you know, it's okay if we just beat up a doll of the President of the United States. To me, that would be like maybe the First Amendment, but at the same time, is it promoting violence? Oops, wrong button.
Are you going to fall for this tactic? He's separating families and their kids and all this other stuff. He's doing all this other stuff. It's going to be interesting watching how California handles this, because if they succeed in getting everybody else emotional, we know what game they're playing. June 14th is President Trump's 79th birthday, 250-year army. You got Flag Day. You got all this stuff that they're doing with America. They don't want to see any of these victories taking place. Axios article came out talking about 1,500 protests they're already planning in 50 states, funded by 100 progressive organizations, a lot of different NGOs. One of the Walton billionaires, Christy Walton, name was mentioned in New York Times. This is a $19, $20 billion type of person. A lot of this money, you hear Soros, all these other things that they're doing, they're planning this. You know what they're looking for? I hate to say this. They're looking for their next George Floyd. That is all they need. They need one person. They need one massive crisis. They have no policies. They have no good ideas. I've yet to see, I went on ChatGPT. I said, can you tell me what solutions Mayor Bass and Gavin Newsom have given to all these protesting? There is no solutions.
No, because they're actually out there supporting it and calling for it. But, they're just calling them peaceful protests. Because, as we've seen through United States history, these peaceful protests are always so peaceful. Nothing bad happens, does it? I mean, if we had video evidence that maybe this stuff was happening, the people would believe it. But we're not seeing any of these videos because it's not happening. It's so peaceful, right? This is Seattle, Washington. Too bad they're paintballs or pepper balls. Definitely peaceful. Hey, she's just here to help pick up the trash. Cleaning up, guys. She's cleaning up. Who cares about her shit? At what point did we stop using pepper balls and paintballs because they're not working? Bean bags, rubber bullets, those hurt. Those definitely hurt. So that was a very peaceful protest in Seattle. Very, very peaceful. Nothing to see there, right? No, because that's going to get me fucking copyrighted. Let's head to downtown Manhattan. It's very peaceful in New York, guys. So, not only is it peaceful in LA, as we saw it's peaceful in Seattle, let's go to the East Coast and we can all see how peaceful New York has been. Cop can't do shit. Oh, let me fucking have it. Nothing to see here. Please return. Yeah, get out of the road. People are trying to drive. Smoke grenade? Alright.
Put that shit down!
You put that shit down. Yo, that would be me right there. The old guy with the beard. Except for, my hair would
Tell your boy to calm down. You're gonna shoot a member of the... This is our city of diversity. Get the fuck out!
This is what it looks like for fucking Traitor! What the fuck do you think you're doing?
Well, what the fuck do they think they're doing? Maybe they're out there trying to keep you guys from destroying the streets. Look at the oops, my bad, guys. Look how clean it is. Why Those trash cans in the middle of the street, those are to help keep the rats fed. How dare you not want to feed the rats? That was New York. Now let's go to the safest city in America, according to Mayor Brandon Johnson. His city is so safe that even the peaceful protests are also peaceful. Now, I think this is the one, if you pay attention, these are supposed to be against ICE. ICE and them detainment of these illegals. Magic word, illegal. Pay attention to some of these flags, because they're not Mexican. They're not from South America. It's weird. I'm sorry, that is a Mexican flag. This might be the wrong video. Nope. 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 You understand these are 60 units. Just kidding. Just kidding. Traitor. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Oh. You know, these people are kind of dumb. Because their cell phones are going to get pinged. Are they attacking the black man? These racist motherfuckers. They're a really nice parade. Can we consider this a parade? What are y'all doing? Well, somebody just got arrested. Leave the black man alone. Oh, they put the black man down? Oh, look at the little Asian guy. Just wait, Laura. They're coming to Canada. Well, Alberta once they become the 51st state. However, if we trade Canada to Mexico, California back to Mexico, and we take Alberta, we can still have the same amount of flags or stars. No big change. Oh! Don't stop dragging yourself on the fucking street, you moron. You ever have road rash? Except with that tiny cop. Oh, girl. That was New York State. That was Chicago. Speaking of Chicago, the safest city in the world. Everybody wants to invest in Chicago. This is Nebraska. Now, pay attention to one of these morons who thinks it's, I'm going to stand in front of a vehicle that's got a brush guard, and maybe it'll stop. And if it doesn't, what do? You don't fucking feel them. What's up, Mom?
Hey, man, look!
Oh, what are you doing?
Whoa!
Yeah, you fucking retard.
Hey, look it down. Hit me. You fucking ran me off.
What you gonna do now, guys? Oh, they're getting it.
Oh, hell no.
Go away, stupid cunt. Yeah, there you go. Bitch. Here we go. Yeah. What are y'all gonna do now? Get out of the way. Get out of the way. I've been to Nebraska. I didn't. Well,
Fucking Miga!
I don't know. I was in Lincoln, so I don't know how many. Whoa, whoa! I missed that. Let's do it again.
Fucking Miga!
Igra! Oh, throw his bitch ass down. Hell yeah. What are you gonna do?
Make sure you're recording this. Get back. Record this.
Get back.
Yeah.
Get back. Get back.
You son of a bitch. You want to spit at me? I'll throw your bitch ass down the embankment.
Fucking Miga! Fuck you guys!
That's not immigration. That's the marshal.
You broke this. I'll break him more, bitch. Which one? I'll break him more, bitch.
Where you going?
I'll break him more. Hell no.
Where you going? Stop talking shit and then run away.
Leave it. Leave it. He didn't do nothing.
Bye.
Leave it.
Kids need to go back to school. Dude, now you're talking shit in the back of the car. They definitely moved that fucking bitch out of the way. Yes, this was Nebraska. And we're going back to Los Angeles where, you know, they're only protesting against ICE and big government and the National Guard and the Marines. But at the same time, they're trying to get their fix on Apple products, which they're so fucking stupid. You can't steal an Apple product from the Apple Store. They have ways around that. No ice. There's no ice inside that building. That's weird. They don't want the ice people to have masks. You know? They can wear it. Hey, look at this. I was looking at this. Bad guy. BG on the scene. Who's really out there recording this, huh? Hmm? Dude, that's a nice outfit. I'm not gonna lie. You guys could use the door. What are y'all doing? Well, we know that guy's not going to be able to run away. He'll have a brisk walk. Oh, they finally found a door. Morons. Wait till you get out of range for that tablet. Oh, look at that. They thought they were getting away going through the back alley. There's only one way. Well, there's two ways in and out of that alley, and one of them's obviously blocked by a wall. Weird. Or as that dumb bitch Rachel Ziegler would be, weird, weird, weird. All right, what do we got next? Nah, that's just too dumb. All right, this one actually makes you wonder. Hello, Zippity. Our data is being collected by quite a bit of people, and we're actually going to get into another one later, which I talked about yesterday, and we're going to touch on it a little bit more today. I think it was yesterday. But this is Congressman Clay Higgins, and he's going to talk about himself.
I recognize myself for 5 minutes for questioning. I think it's important to note, and from as America observes, it's fascinating hearing that digital data is not secure. You have reports of According to my research, about 27% of Fortune 500 companies have had major data breaches. These are the wealthiest companies. They're the most
You should
advanced.
know. We typically get the email or a letter saying that my data has been breached. And oddly enough, I get that for TRICARE and the VA system. My medical insurance companies. Weird. Weird.
Security systems. Data breach statistics show a significant increase in both the number of breaches and the number of records exposed within those breaches. For example, in the United States, the number of data breaches increased from 447 in 2012 to over 3,200 in 2023. In 2023, 353 million individuals were impacted.
And that's when they got everyone's social security numbers and addresses and banks that they didn't tell you about. I reported on it, but they were trying to keep this shit hidden. So just about every American plus had their information taken.
Compromises. And globally, data breaches exposed over 818 million data sets in the first quarter of 2024. It was intellectually unsound to discuss digital data as if it was secure. And therein lies the problem, because Ms. Wojcicki, 23andMe, congratulations on the success of the company. I'm a Republican. I support free enterprise. I'm glad you had a good run, but let's talk about the issue right now. Because 23andMe began with a DNA swab, and that swab was sent in to a laboratory, I presume, 23andMe, and that laboratory analyzed that physical data and created a digital file. Is that correct?
Yes, we would.
We're moving quickly. I'm just summarizing here for the American people. You send in a swab, it's physical DNA. That's received by a laboratory and transitioned to a digital file. At that point, America, no longer secure. And I need to only point to modern history and data breaches and digital theft. But let's move a little bit deeper into this consideration. In these laboratories in 23andMe, did you have Chinese nationals working, ma'am?
So 23andMe contracted with LabCorp?
So yes.
Yeah, did you have Chinese nationals working in laboratories that were processing the DNA physical data and transitioning that data to digital files?
So LabCorp is a public company. It's one of the largest lab testing.
Yes or no? Whatever.
I didn't control their hiring.
Would you?
Do you know the answer, though?
Believe me when I tell you the answer is yes. You had Chinese nationals. Listen to this, America. You sent in your DNA on a swab. No problem. That's cool. To check your family history and your family tree. But, I did it too. But the expectation of privacy of your digital data was gone the moment you put that thing in the mail.
True.
And now Congress has to determine whether or not we're going to allow the abject sale of that data. And let me just say that we're going to draft legislation, Mr. Savage. We will draft legislation. I don't know if we'll get it right because it's complex. I would estimate there'll probably be a dozen different iterations of legislation covering DNA digital data control over the next decade. But Congress must act in response to this newly emergent threat, because you're not just talking about 15 million people for 23andMe. According to my research, over the course of 30 years, 15 million people become 100 million descendants.
True.
It's the same basic DNA profile, therefore subject to the same threat of biological weaponization of that DNA profile, and that DNA profile.
What are they going to do? Make a clone of me?
Where we already acknowledge it's not secure. So this body is going to create legislation, and that legislation will impact the sale of this data. So both of you have a stake. Quickly, Madam and Sir, advise this body. Will you be available for consultation to this committee as we work through what legislation will look like?
I would be honored to help and participate however I can to help make sure that genetic.
However you can. Thank you, ma'am. Good sir.
What's up, Corey?
And likewise, I'd be happy to help.
Professor Hu, we're going to need you.
Uh-oh.
Will you be available?
Absolutely.
Thank you. My time has expired.
Who? All right. Finally, we're done with Twitter, X, and we're moving on to
you are
other
right.
things to include, well, obviously more riot stuff, more Gavin Newsom, and protesters that are there supposedly for ICE, and they're actually not there for ICE. They're there for other reasons, as we see looting, as well as why do we have Palestinian people out there protesting against ICE? Huh? Tell me how that makes sense. Now, this guy's going to answer questions about deploying the Marines to LA. If it's active duty, I have, quite a bit of little problem with that. However, the National Guard is fine. The Marines, I believe, has a reserve unit, but they're coming from Camp Pendleton or 29 Palms. You get 700 Marines in the city of LA. We saw what happened. We saw what happened a couple years ago. They beat the aliens back. Yeah, the battle for LA. It's already happened. Or, holy shit. The movie, they were fighting aliens. Were they illegal aliens? Huh? Hollywood told us.
We're both originally from Minnesota, which is why I recall 2020 quite well, when Governor Walz abandoned a police precinct and allowed it to be burned to the ground, and also allowed 5 days of chaos to occur inside the streets of Minneapolis.
Mr. Secretary, we're both from Minnesota. I was in the Twin Cities during the riots that followed the murder of George Floyd. Tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets for days. Governor Walz made the decision to call up the Minnesota National Guard. At no point did we need the citizens of Minnesota request that the Marines be deployed. Our state and local law enforcement, along with our National Guard, who have worked on crowd control, they were more than enough. They were more than capable of handling this situation. History has proven that law enforcement and the National Guard are more than capable of handling situations more volatile than what happened this weekend. We all see the continuous loops on TV, but this looks nothing like the George Floyd protests or the Rodney King riots in Los Angeles in 1992. Mr. Secretary, this is a deeply unfair position to put our Marines in. Their service should be honored. It should not be exploited. The President has issued an executive order.
McCollum. Since the beginning of time, the military has been used for exploitation to further wars so people like you can get richer. Right? Have you ever been there? Have you ever served? We get exploited, and we get exploited even with veterans, as veterans, because, they're not taking care of their veterans. The Veterans Affairs, VA hospitals, we need to fix them. Right? That sounds like exploitation to me.
And talked about deploying troops across the country. Los Angeles County has 17,000 law enforcement personnel, and the state of California has 24,000 National Guard troops. So that's why the Los Angeles Chief Police to say, and I quote, "The possible arrival of federal military forces in Los Angeles is absent a clear coordination presents a significant logistical operational challenge for those of us who are charged with safeguarding the city. The end of his quote. As I mentioned before, in Minnesota, we train for those things together. So there's no need for the Marines to be deployed. So here are my budget questions, though. What is the current cost for what is taking place in California, and how is it going to affect this budget or the budget we're currently serving under? How much are these deployments going to cost for both the Marines and the National Guard? And what training or duties are not taking place because of these deployments? Where in your limited budget, sir, are you going to find, in the remainder of this fiscal year, are you going to pull the money to cover these deployments? What?
Okay, so the deployments will cost roughly in the millions of dollars. However, in California alone, on undocumented immigrants, they spend $8.5 billion a year. A year from the state's budget. Where could that $8.5 billion be going? Now you're worried about budgets? Why don't you get up with California and see what the fuck's up?
What holes are being created?
Well, Congresswoman, thank you for the question. You are right. We are both originally from Minnesota, which is why I recall 2020 quite well, when Governor Walz abandoned a police precinct and allowed it to be burned to the ground. And also allowed 5 days of chaos to occur inside the streets of Minneapolis. The police precinct, ma'am, was abandoned and burned to the ground. And because of that, the National Guard was eventually far too late mobilized. And President Trump recognizes a situation like that, improperly handled by a governor, like it was by Governor Walz, if it gets out of control, is a bad situation for the citizens of any location. So in Los Angeles, we believe that ICE, which is a federal law enforcement agency, has the right to safely conduct operations in any state and any jurisdiction in the country, especially after 21 million illegals have crossed our border under the previous administration. ICE ought to be able to do its job, whether it's Minneapolis or Los Angeles.
I have limited time. I asked a budget
and they
question.
Are
Could the Secretary please address the budget? Thank you.
You asked about the situation in Los Angeles, and we believe ICE agents should be allowed to be safe in doing their operations, and we have deployed National Guard and the Marines to protect them in the execution of their duties, because we ought to be able to enforce immigration law in this country, unlike what Governor Walz did in 2020. There are 17,000 LAPD, you mentioned that. There would be 18,000 if not for the defund movement that folks like Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have implemented. The police chief said she was overwhelmed,
so we helped. If the Secretary's not going to ask the budgetary questions, I will yield back my time if the Secretary refuses to answer the budgetary questions I put before him. They're important. What training missions aren't happening? Where are you pulling the money from?
In reality, the National Guard, their job is to protect the homeland, especially in cases of a riot and or protecting federal property. The Marines, their jobs typically are to protect U.S. embassies around the world. So this, in fact, if you really want to get down into the nitty-gritty of it, it is a training mission. They're teaching, or they're learning to, and what's the word I'm looking for? Utilizing the training they've used to prevent and to control riots. It's what they do. This is real world training. Better the United States than over in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Turkey, China, Israel. Well, Israel.
And how are you planning this in the moving forward? These are budget questions that affect this committee and the decisions we're going to be making in a couple of hours. If you're not going to answer them, please let the chairman know, and I will take back my time and I will yield it back to the chairman.
Mr. Secretary, I want to just let us know what accounts you're pulling the money to fund.
Thankfully, unlike the previous administration, we've got a 13% increase in our defense budget, and we will have the capability to cover down on contingencies, which is something the National Guard and the Marine plan for. So we have the funding to cover down on contingencies, especially ones as important as maintaining law and order in a major American city. As far as training, all of the units on the ground have been fully trained in their capabilities of what they're executing on the ground.
For budgetary, if he needs to get back to the committee with the numbers, I'd appreciate it, both current and present.
Happy to submit them for the record.
Dude, look
For
at
every
that
loudmouth
panel,
leftist telling.
Look at this panel.
Happy to.
We have this lady that's crying. This guy doesn't give a shit. He's trying to stay awake. This guy is tired of this bitch right here. She doesn't even know where the fuck she's at. And then this guy over here is like, why am I here? Right? No? All right.
Submit them for the record.
For every loudmouth leftist telling our troops to remember their oath, stop pretending you know what you're talking about. Here's what the oath actually says. I do solemnly swear that I support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It goes on to say that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States, and I will obey the orders of the officers appointed over me according to the regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. That's it. That's the mission. Not to obey the governor, not to side with the mob.
Whoopsie. So I always love it when the people are like, well, why don't you just disagree and go against the orders? It's because you tend to get jail time for that. And it's a felony if they do it the right way. Well, not really a felony. It's a bad conduct discharge, or other than honorable, which good luck getting a job. Maybe you can take one of those jobs that the illegals are vacating. What about that? That would be a great way to do this. We'll put you out. Now good luck getting a job. Plenty of times where I wanted to come out and talk shit about the president and our government, which in private, kind of okay. But publicly, like some of these, like that Dallas E5, I'm not going to call her a sergeant. She's not a sergeant. She's an E5. Sergeant would know better. Now, what happens when you are the governor of the state of California and you currently have a peaceful protest happening in Los Angeles, and you basically tell the public that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, has not even attempted to make contact with me? Well, if anything this pred-catching community knows about, it's called receipts. Receipts. And Gavin, someone pulled a receipt on you. This is from Officer Tatum, so I don't know how much we have to listen to him to get to the point.
Playing right into the hands of Donald Trump. Because I got news for you. On this particular issue, in the United States of America, he's winning on this issue. There's a reason he won a popular vote.
Gavin Newsom tweeted the following. He said, quote, "There was no call, not even a voicemail. Americans should be alarmed that a president deploying Marines on our streets doesn't even know who he's talking to." Well, President Trump contacted me from Air Force One. He said the first call to Gavin Newsom was not picked up. The second call Gavin picked up. We spoke for 16 minutes. I told him to essentially, quote, and this is quoting the president, get his in gear and stop the riots.
But Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom want to convince you that there's nothing really going on and it's Donald Trump's fault.
Yeah, Donald Trump let 50 million illegals in the country over 4 years. And Joe Biden deported almost 3 million.
This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com, we got a bunch of brand new merch, ladies and gentlemen. We got this pride shirt that I'm wearing right now because true pride is the American flag. And then we got some stuff to support the Border Patrol and ICE. Specifically, I stand with ICE shirts. This is our shirt here, but this is the one that y'all really want. The Ice Baby shirt, okay? We got the badge on the front that's like ice cold, and then on the back, you have Ice Baby with the handcuffs. So when you're walking around Home Depot, they know what it is. I'm just kidding. All right, go to the store. You can get 20% off. The link will pop up. Get your ICE immigrant stuff that's just continuing to go out of control. We'll get to the actual riots in a minute, but I want to show this clip that was on the news about the separation of families. I don't know how many times rational, logical, frontal lobe developed human beings say this. I don't know how many times we got to say this for leftists to get it. Well, I guess they don't want to get it. They want us to lie. They want to deliver lie. Separation from families ain't a real thing. If you go to jail, your kids can't go with you. And just because you're an illegal alien don't mean your kids get to go to jail with you. Or you get to escape jail because you got kids in your household. If I go out right now and get a DUI with Bo in the car, his mama going to come pick him up, and I'm going to jail. And Bo is going to cry watching me go to jail. But that don't mean I don't get to go to jail because my kid is crying and I'm getting separated from my kid and my wife. My oldest son probably don't care. He's 14. But my youngest will be crying. Come on, man. Roll the clip.
There's news in America every single day. There are children that cry when their mom or dad, who's an American citizen that breaks the law, gets arrested and goes to jail. I have watched it, and there's no rioting and looting over that because we understand that we're either a country of laws or we are not a country of laws. Every day we send moms and dads who are American citizens to prison, and we separate them from their families. And you know why we don't feel sorry for them? Because we judge them on the law, and we say if you break the law in America, we put you in jail. So why is it different for a legal immigrant?
Like Representative McIver, who is going to be charged and is facing a maximum of 17 years in prison. Will she get it? Probably not. If you don't know who McIver is, go back to the New Jersey detention facility. She is the big woman, the black woman who basically looked like a black Kool-Aid man trying to push her way through the ICE and federal officers.
Somebody answer that question. Why is it different for illegal immigrants? Why are these people advocating that it's such a crime if people get separated when they commit crimes and breaking the law? It makes no sense to me. Stephen A. Smith even weighed in on this and had something to say about it regarding Gavin Newsom. Let's see what Stephen A. had to say.
Why the hell are you playing right into the hands of Donald Trump? Because I got news for you. On this particular issue, as it involves migrants, immigrants, those who are undocumented, dare we say illegal, in the United States of America, he's winning on this issue. There's a reason he won a popular vote. There's a reason he won the Electoral College vote. There's a reason he won every swing state. There are people within the United States of America that want our immigration crisis addressed and want the situation resolved somehow, some way. And a person that seems eager to bring a resolution to the table is President Donald Trump. Now, others may challenge that because they may say we had a bipartisan agreement when Joe Biden was in office that Donald Trump convinced the GOP to nix because he wanted to use it as an issue to favor him during the election. Well, damn it, it worked. It worked. And I got news for you, Governor Newsom. It's working now.
You know, someone said this in another video I watched. With Gavin Newsom doing what he's doing, it's giving the Democrats someone to rally behind. Because you know Newsom is trying to run for president in 2028. Now, if they sustain these protests for the next 4 years, which wouldn't surprise me, he would be a front runner.
He's wrong. I don't think he's wrong. The bill that they claiming that was a bipartisan bill that Donald Trump told him to strike down is bullcrap. Things doesn't work that way. What happened is they put minutia in that bill. They put Ukraine support and they put all this other stuff in it, and they put border security in it, and they go, see, we did border security. No, you didn't. I don't respect Congress at all until they start putting singular bills out.
Yeah.
Instead of putting a bill with a bunch of crap in it. Let's just focus on the border. We don't have to put Ukraine and all this foreign aid and let's talk about the border. Let's just only focus on this, and then we can pass the next bill that's partnering with this. But let's talk about immigration. They won't do that. They won't pass a bill specifically on immigration. We know that Joe Biden had the executive power to do exactly what Trump did with shutting the border, but he didn't want to do it. They're full of crap. We know they're full of crap.
Going on between Gavin Newsom and President Trump. Gavin Newsom, after President Trump said in the noon hour in the Oval Office that he called him yesterday or the other day, Gavin Newsom tweeted the following. He said, quote, "There was no call, Not even a voicemail. Americans should be alarmed that a president deploying Marines on our streets doesn't even know who he's talking to. Well, President Trump contacted me from Air Force One on his way to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where he'll be in just a little while. He said the first call to Gavin Newsom was not picked up. The second call Gavin picked up. We spoke for 16 minutes. I told him to essentially, quote, and this is quoting the president, get his ass in gear and stop the riots, which were out of control more than anything else. This shows what a liar he is. Said I never called. So here is the evidence. And here is the call log that the president sent me from his phone. This was June the 7th. Now, granted, this was on Saturday. But look, there's 1:22 o'clock in the morning. Which would have been 10 o'clock at night, 10:22 at night, California time. There was an outgoing call for 4 seconds. And then there was an outgoing call for 16 minutes.
Yo,
so
Donald
that
Trump
from the
awake at
president, which
1:30
says
in
is
the morning.
proof that he spoke to Gavin Newsom
Joe
early
Biden
in the
would have been
morning,
dead
our
asleep.
time, late at night, Friday night, would have been June 6th, I guess, in Los Angeles. So, Governor, over to you for the response.
Say that's next, right? We're waiting to see what if Governor Newsom has a response to the president's. Essentially, what he has there is the receipt for what he says is the call that was made.
It's all about
and
the
the long
receipts.
Conversation, yeah, exactly,
All
in a
about the
16-minute
receipts.
conversation. As you mentioned, as things were heating up,
Mm-hmm.
is the timing of that call. As things were really just beginning to get started. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes.
And I'll add this. I do believe your boy Gavin Newsom.
Well, when flying your flag upside down, it doesn't necessarily mean anti-American, which I think I went over yesterday. It means your country's in distress. However, with these people protesting with their flag upside down, they are not saying our country is in distress.
Is dropping the ball because these people are continuing to just act as if nothing is happening in California. And the world is not only looking through the eyes of CNN and MSDNC, they have people like myself and others.
That's what I've said. We are a country in distress if you really want, especially with Gavin Newsom calling for a civil war.
Who have our own ability to disseminate media and news. And we don't have a filter on it. We just tell it like it is. We're not beholden to somebody paying us to say certain things. Let's look at what Karen Bass said, which I think was absolutely asinine. Roll the clip.
I mean, we didn't need the National Guard. Why on earth? What are they going to do? Do you know what the National Guard is doing now? They are guarding 2 buildings. They're guarding the federal building here in downtown, and they're guarding the federal building in Westwood. That's what.
So the National Guard is protecting federal buildings. That makes sense to me.
They're doing. So
Now think how stupid this is. I don't know if her Jerry Carroll is getting to it or what.
Said this yesterday. If you burn the American flag, you don't have to agree with it. I don't agree with it. However, burning the American flag is part of the First Amendment. And you know what did I do for the past 20 plus years? I support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And the Constitution includes, but is not limited to, the First Amendment. I don't like it. I don't. But it is what it is.
You know how stupid you got to be literally complaining about the National Guard and then in the same sentence say that the National Guard isn't doing anything? So what's the harm in the National Guard being there if they're not doing nothing? If they're quote unquote not effective, then who cares if the National Guard is there? Now, we know people that have common sense know that they deployed the National Guard because
that's
you have to
what I don't
defend
understand, Corey. You can, if you burn the Israeli flag, you can go to jail. Hell, even talk bad about Israel, they could possibly put you in jail. You burn the gay pride flag, it's a hate crime. When we're going to reverse, when you have foreign nationals protesting America because they want to stay here, let's burn the American flag. Let's wave the flags of Mexico. Let's wave the flags of Honduras. let's wave the flags of Palestine. It doesn't make sense. If they hate this country that bad because, oh my God, we're so terrible, they're giving you $1,000 to self-deport.
Federal buildings. And these people are so radical that they're looting and burning down buildings and cars and all kind of other stuff that they're doing, that we need to protect the federal building, because they will go after the federal buildings. They tried to do it already. They tried to kill ICE agents, Border Patrol agents. They try to burn down the facilities. We've seen them in 2020 burn down police stations. So that's why the National Guard is there. You just debunked your whole argument of acting like Donald Trump's National Guard deployment is escalating. How is it escalating, you dummy? If you were saying they only at the buildings, the federal buildings, how is it escalating if they only at these buildings and they nowhere near the violence? You can't make this stuff up. Roll the clip.
So they need Marines on top of it? I don't understand that. That's why I feel like we are part of an experiment that we did not ask to be a part of. Last Thursday, there was nothing happening in this town that called for the raids that took place on Friday. Nothing was happening.
The raids are going to happen whether you like it or not. They're violating, whatever U.S. code that goddamn Homan's always saying. Can't remember it right now, and I really don't feel like looking it up.
Nothing warranted the raids. If you remember at the beginning of this administration, we were told that raids would be to look for violent criminals, people who had warrants. But I don't know how you go from a drug dealer to a Home Depot.
Hold on.
To people's work.
Hey, dummy. In case you don't understand how investigations work, the people at the Home Depot may be under investigation too. Have you ever thought of that? Wow. You got to be a gangbanger they're like, an investigation is a person selling drugs at the trap house, and all the drug dealers that are associated with a criminal enterprise are all at the trap house waiting for you. No, dummy. You just heard Tom Homan say that they went and did a drug bust like they always do with people who are connected to this criminal enterprise, and some of them fools probably was at Home Depot. Just because you're at Home Depot looking for work don't mean you ain't a part of a criminal enterprise. They know better, though. They know better, Nick. They know better than this. But they do it anyway. They get on TV and grandstand anyway. This woman knows that Tom Homan said very clearly that they were doing an investigation, executing a warrant that they had to arrest multiple people involved in criminal activity. And this dumb B for Bass, that's what I'm going to call her, Dumb Bass. Karen Dumb Bass. That's a great shirt. Dumb Bass.
Oh,
that's a great shirt.
It's coming.
She is a dummy. But Tom Homan said what he said. She's privy to that information, and she want to go on a rampage to tell you Home Depot don't have people that commit crimes at it. Roll the clip.
Places where they're just trying to make a living. At Home Depot, you have day laborer centers so that the people that are trying to seek work each and every day will have a place to be so that it doesn't interfere with the...
Do these day laborers pay taxes? Remember when you said these illegals, they're paying their fair share in taxes? Standing outside Home Depot doing day labor work, I don't think they file any taxes or a 1099. I don't really think they do. Did they get a 1099?
Business? These are not the people that we were told were going to be detained. And it makes me feel like our city is actually a test case for what happens when the federal government moves in and takes the authority away from the state or away from local government. I don't think that our city should be used for an experiment to see what happens in the nation's second largest city. Well, maybe we can do this to other cities. Stop the raids, period.
I would stop, you bald head scallywag. That's what we call them back in the day. Why don't they do it in New York then? They're going to test it on America's second largest city. Why not the first largest city, which is closer to D.C.? They're going to come all across the whole country just to test y'all. That's what you trying to tell people. Why don't they test it in a small town, a small city, so they can prep it?
Right.
Then they can accelerate the testing on y'all. Ain't nobody tested nothing, fool. They burning down the streets and looting and doing all kind of stuff. Is that all that she had to say? I don't want to hear nothing else she got to say. Let's go to the store owner. Let's go to the looting. And nothing is happening here. Nothing to see, ladies and gentlemen. We had no problems in the city until they enforced the law. That's what she's saying. We had no problems until they enforced immigration laws. Roll the clip.
This is so ridiculous. Doesn't look like this is for they're protesting for ICE or anything. This is they're doing just for the looting the stores and everything. I saw they break into the Apple store, they break into the Adidas store. This is not they're doing protest.
They just trying to make an example out of it. They're trying to experiment. They're just peacefully protesting. Peacefully protesting. Let's go to the video of the cops arresting the looters right there at the front of that store. Roll it.
Oh, they arrested the white guy.
Chaos.
Dude, why don't we get some Roman Reigns type gear going on? Holy shit! Now that is totally fucked up. So check this out. One of my buddies lives in California. Remember how I said that VA appointment, that they're doing the VA, they're protecting that VA hospital? Well, he has an appointment tomorrow at 10:30, which they sent him the notification. He verified. And then, not even, well, this is later. You're canceled. VA has canceled your appointment on June 12th, 10:30 with PAC team, Pacific team, B2 at the VA Greater Los Angeles Healthcare System. You will receive a call for your clinic at a later time to reschedule your appointments. We apologize for the inconvenience. Remember when I said that VA, our veterans are going to miss their appointments? So they shut down the VA clinic or the VA hospital in Los Angeles because of this? I thought it was helping. We need to take care of our veterans. Karen Bass, Governor Newsom, complaining about seeing soldiers sleeping on the ground. Fun fact, when you sleep on the ground, especially while we're deployed, that's some amazing fucking sleep, believe it or not. He prevented him from going to his VA appointment because of this shit.
Now, why does the public have to deal with this? It should be zero tolerance, no nonsense approach by the people you pay your tax dollars to. But Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom want to convince you that it's nothing really going on and it's Donald Trump's fault. What does the National Guard that only protect federal buildings have to do with the looting and killing and stealing and thugging in the middle of the street, throwing rocks on cops and all that stuff? How does him saying we need to deploy the National Guard to protect our federal buildings because these people are out of control? What does that have to do with these people doing what they're doing? He's just trying to make an example of what? You guys are not going to protect the federal buildings. You guys are not going to protect the federal agents. You guys just let them throw rocks and bludgeon all these federal agents doing their job. They're not protected. They're trying to break into the ICE facilities. Congress members trying to go into ICE facilities. Like, what are you talking about? Y'all not going to do
Are you going to
anything.
show Maxine Waters
So the
getting the door slammed in
president
her
logically
face?
has to deploy the National Guard. Bush did it. Bush Sr. did it. I think Clinton even did it. Y'all have nothing to say when other people do it, but when Trump do it, it's a nightmare. Let's go to Cori Bush, sorry self. Y'all, I used to think, hold on, but I used to think that in order to be a senator, that you had to be intelligent. You had to have some gumption.
That's not the case.
You had to be, have integrity, decorum. I realize you can be a complete idiot and be a senator. You can be a complete idiot with a resume. But dumber than a bag of rocks, you can be a senator, like Cory Booker. Wrote a clip.
Look, since years before I was born, law enforcement knows it's good when there's cooperation and coordination. For the president to do this when it wasn't requested, breaking with generations of tradition, is only going to incite the situation and make things worse. We are now at a point where we have a president who sat back and did.
Not only does the Insurrection Act of 1807 allow the president to do this, but 8 U.S. Code 1325, also known as the improper entry of by alien law, addresses criminal offenses related to entering the United States illegally. It specifically covers misrepresenting oneself, avoiding inspection, entering at authorized times and places. Violation can result in fines and imprisonment, with penalty increasing for repeat offenses. So, in fact, they are breaking federal law. Therefore, federal officers and the National Guard are more than allowed to do this.
Did nothing as people stormed our Capitol, viciously beat police, and then.
All right, a few things. Yes, they stormed the Capitol. No police were beaten or died on the scene, except for maybe the ones on the outside, and those people were arrested. I forgot what else he was about to say.
And when those people who viciously beat police and led to some of their deaths,
there we go.
Cop killer.
No police died on the scene due to that. No. Stop lying. Stop lying, Corey. Oh, but you can't.
To their deaths.
Were convicted by juries.
Hold on.
He then.
I got to stop this guy. First and foremost, you can't say Trump didn't do nothing. He asked Nancy Pelosi to deploy the National Guard ahead of the rally and the election, and they refused to. But then he told people, peacefully, let your voice be heard. Some people, there were hundreds of thousands of people attending his rally. Hundreds of thousands. A fraction of those people decided to go into the Capitol building. A very small portion of all those people that were in D.C. that day decided to go to the Capitol building. And an even smaller portion decided to be physical with law enforcement officers.
Not you.
Nobody was injured, hurt, or assaulted in the Capitol. Not even police. They got into the Capitol. They didn't fight anybody. They didn't harm anybody. There was no fights. There was no altercation between January 6ers and police in the motherfucking building where the insurrection was happening. Do I need to pull up footage?
Yes.
Capitol Police standing right next to where Ashley Babbitt walked through the window at. They're standing right next to her. They were in front of the door. Capitol Police was standing right in front of the door like this. Nobody had a gun out. Nobody was doing anything. Nobody got physical. Nobody hurt anybody. They're standing right in front of the door. They moved to the side of the door. They're standing right next to Ashley Babbitt when she climbed through the window. They didn't grab her. They didn't pull a gun out. The tactical team came up the stairs, didn't get physical with nobody, didn't have to shoot anybody, didn't have to touch anybody. And you mother suckers are calling this some crazy happening, some crazy January 6th event. And January 6th, they didn't have to call the National Guard because the people at the January 6th Capitol building just walked out the building. They just left. The
National Guard showed up at the end.
National Guard didn't show up. They just left. They walked right out the front door. The vote was completed. You can argue that was stupid that they did that. You can argue about the people who fought police officers. They were wrong and they deserve to go to jail. Anybody that was committing violent crimes should go to jail. But 90% of the people were just walking around the building like idiots, just walking around sightseeing. Didn't get violent with nobody. But yet they have violence that's perpetuated on television for the world to see. They're throwing rocks and injuring cops. They're looting businesses. They're blocking roadways and streets and causing chaos, graffiti and stuff, damaging patrol cars, damaging Waymos, waving a foreign country's flag, and they're doing it all around the country. We just focus on LA right now. They tried to do it in Phoenix. Bruh, what the F are you talking about? Things that led to their death. Nobody got charged for killing a Capitol police officer. So how are you claiming that it led to their death? If you injure a cop and it caused them to die, you get charged with murder. Why nobody was charged with murder? Because this is a lie. Roll the clip.
Pardon them all. So for him to be talking to anybody right now about responsive law enforcement to protect people.
When you say he pardoned, see, now I'm just like Officer Tatum. Pardoned all these January 6 people. They never even had a court case come up. They never saw a judge. They were just sitting there in a jail hanging out for 4 years. Does that sound right? Does that sound like justice?
Is hypocritical at best. The reality is we see peaceful protests launching in Los Angeles. And again, any violence against police officers should not be accepted. Local authorities can handle that. But remember, a lot of these peaceful protests are being generated because the President of the United States is sowing chaos and confusion by arresting people who are showing.
Peaceful protests of what? ICE. When ICE begin to make arrests, what do? They assaulted them. It's a coordinated effort. It wasn't that a few people were out there and they had no intentions to throw rocks at people and they had no intentions to do anything. And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump said, I'm going to send in Border Patrol. And they start throwing rocks at people. These normal people that would never be violent just start picking up rocks and throwing it and trying to kill people. They tried to kill those ICE agents. Throwing a rock through the windshield can kill somebody. Throwing a brick off of a freeway while a car is driving is attempted murder. What are we talking about? There were kids that did the very same thing. They threw a brick off the side of the freeway. The brick went through the windshield and killed somebody. So you don't throw a brick off to damage the car. You throw a brick off if you want to kill somebody. They are attempting to murder cops. Okay.
Up for their immigration hearings, who are trying to abide by the law. He's arresting them. And you see this in communities that are Republican, Trump supporters, being outraged that he's raiding kitchens and arresting
you going
people,
to hell,
high
bro.
schools. And
I'm not upset. I'm not outraged. I'm happy he's doing what I voted for. He's doing what should have been done 4 years ago. He's doing what happened from 2008 to 2016. It was okay for them, but not Donald Trump. It's because he's a Republican. Even though we all know at one point he was a Democrat, so. And now that I think about it, I forgot to mention, I was thinking about this last night. With all these illegal immigrants that were let in for the past 4 years, that was the Trojan horse. That was the Trojan horse, and now they broke out of the horse.
You're going straight to hell.
Who are not what he said he would do, which is focus
You're going straight to hell.
law enforcement resources on
I'm
violent
done listening to him.
criminals.
You're going to hell, you lying devil.
Goddamn,
these people
Corey.
claim that Trump is so. It makes me so mad because these people claim that Trump is so in division. They are the ones so in division. He going to soup kitchen.
I get my
They
batteries
know
from
that's not
Havi.
true. They don't have the ability to randomly go to random places where random Mexicans are. Everybody knows that you can have the investigatory affidavits and search warrants should all be made public so we can see. It's Mexicans everywhere. How do they know to go to the soup kitchen? Put that in your mind. How do they know to go to this soup kitchen then? There's Home Depots everywhere in the country. There's probably 400 Home Depots in California. Why they go to this Home Depot? In LA alone, there's probably like 15 Home Depots. Why this one though? Why didn't they go to every Home Depot? They went to one Home Depot. And it's because that Home Depot had people that were under a specific investigation. They know that to be true. They go into soup kitchens. There's 1,000.
No, there's a Home Depot right down the street from the Atlanta MEPS. And when I used to drive the recruits there every morning, or whenever I had to drive them, they were always lining that whole side of the fence in front of Home Depot. Oh, yeah. So don't saying that it's not. And it's weird because, like I said, it's down the street from MEPS. wouldn't that be like considered a security threat?
A 100 million soup kitchens with Mexicans in it who are illegal in America. Why don't they go to all of them? That's
O'Reilly. I get most of my batteries from O'Reilly's.
because they only go into that kitchen because there's a person in there that have a warrant for their arrest. They violated the law. They violated immigration policy. They cannot go after random grandmas. They're going after real evil criminals. They just so happen to work in the kitchen. They just so happen to be at Home Depot. They just so happen to be over here and over here. And then when they break through the door to go get the murderer that y'all mother freakers won't even acknowledge, when they go get the murderer, also Juan Garcia is right here. He also has to be deported. Y'all want them to go in the house, do a raid and say, this is a bad guy. But all of y'all that violated immigration law, we're going to let y'all go. Y'all just keep raping people and doing what you're doing. We'll wait till we catch you one day, and we're going to just go for these people. Cory Booker and them, I hope they burn in hell for what they doing. I try not to be personal and get upset, but it makes me upset because our country could be such a unified, beautiful country, but these devils
Well, I'm telling you, there's really no profit in unity because, well,
I think borders are pointless.
How can you sell shit? How can you sell mass surveillance if you have unity? Unity. So we're going to head now to when I mentioned, are all these people really here protesting ICE? Are they really? I don't know. Let's find out.
And borders should be erased. So you caught me off guard with that one.
I went to an anti-ICE protest today in New York City, and I saw signs like "You're Next" and "F ICE." I walked up to those people and talked to them to see what they really want. Welcome back to the Nate Friedman Show. Also, I'm getting this video to you guys as soon as possible. I didn't even set up my recording space, so the video is going to feel a little bit more raw than usual. Anyway, enjoy.
I'm independent. Yeah. Can I ask you guys about your sign? Can you just tell me about it?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
What about it?
Anything, just why you, what's the message in it? Yeah.
Basically, the message is fuck ICE because they're fucking abhorrent and are literally destroying families and people's lives. And then also stop the U.S. war machine, which is more just about just all the imperialism, all the countries that we've wreaked havoc upon, which is, part of the problem too is people are like, oh, why do people come here? It's because the U.S. has put their hand in so many countries and dismantled their governments and caused instability, and then we are treating them like this when they try to find safety or new opportunities.
Yeah. Do you think that we should get rid of ICE, like the organization?
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would replace it with, or do you think that there's no need for it?
No need. I think borders are pointless, and borders should be erased. Yeah. That's not how we're meant to be in this world.
Do you see that for across the world and not just the U.S.?
I do, but yeah. Also, I think every people's, and that goes back to a whole other problem too. We're on stolen land right now, so we're on stolen land right now. So all of the stewardship.
This stolen land excuse is getting fucking old. If you're on stolen land, why didn't you go back to the country your genealogy says you're from? You're breaking the law. By what you're saying, we're on stolen land. You're breaking the law. And if you look on, in places like Alaska, the West Coast, a lot of them have Asian features. Isn't that weird? Are we on stolen land? Can I be considered on stolen land?
And control of the land should go back to the indigenous people of that land, and they should be the ones who are deciding who comes, who goes, what needs done.
And what do you think about what's happening in LA right now?
I think when people are pushed and pushed past the point of what's okay, they're going to fight back. And
Okay. I like the way she thinks. So when can we start pushing back? Ma'am, am I allowed to push back? If these riots come to my area, am I allowed to push back? By what you said, yes. Yes, I can.
I think that's the same thing that's happening in Palestine right now too. I mean, it's very different, but in Palestine, there's, there's people who are fighting back and fighting back against their oppression. And I think that we're seeing the beginnings of that too. And we're seeing, people being disappeared and kidnapped, and you see people in the community fighting back for those people.
Well, they're not being disappeared. We know where they're at. We know where they're going. And they're not just sending onesies and twosies. If the family wants to go with them and they're illegal, they get to go with them. If they have a kid that was born here, they are an American citizen. But at the same time, are they going to leave their child here? So you're calling for family separation. Where were you at during the kids in cages scandal? Did you protest for that? Oh, that was Barack Obama? Oh, so it was okay back then. I got you. Wait, how old were you back in that scandal? I'm curious. Let me see your TikTok. How many people are you following?
See what's happening in LA to happen in New York City as well.
It's not that I want to see that. I actually don't believe in necessarily violence. I really pray for no violence. But what I do think is and I also have a different definition of what violence is. I don't think property destruction is violence. I think it's a statement. Especially when people are being killed and kidnapped and starved and pulled away from their families and put in fucking
What immigrant has been killed? What immigrant has been killed? You know that would be a martyr for your cause. What immigrant that's been detained and deported has been killed? I'll wait.
Horrible places to be held for long periods of time. Inhumane conditions. To me, property damage is not. It's property.
It's only like a natural response.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think we need to be, I'm very careful about even calling that violence, but I'm even talking about something that's further than that. If it continues on, it wouldn't be on the offense. It would be on the defense, because I think that when people are pushed, they're going to fight back. Yeah. And I think everyone has the right to do that.
Yeah. What do you think about Trump's National Guard that he's bringing in?
I mean, I think Trump wants to be able to instate martial law. So I think he actually wants a lot of this because he wants to be able to have martial law. And I think
he wants control over the whole country, every aspect.
And and during martial law, there's no elections held. There's a lot of stuff that would really benefit him.
So you don't like that idea, huh? Do you support Ukraine? Do you support Ukraine, who hasn't had an election in the past 2 cycles? Do you support that? They're a democracy. We support them financially. Well, we did. Do you support that fact that they're not having elections? Do you? You probably don't know that, because the media doesn't tell you that.
Third and fourth term and so
exactly.
On, yeah.
So I think I think that's also why, I forget the word he was using, but he was calling the protesters in LA, insurrection, something. Yeah. He was using some kind of word. Yeah. And because that is one of the things that needs to be present for martial law to be able to be instated. So he's already laying the groundwork to be exactly, these people are doing this thing that, allows me. The laws around it are very vague, though. Totally. So
I was a little bit late to this. Who's speaking right now? Is it
I actually didn't hear them introduce themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
My name is Nate. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Can I interview you about your sign? I'm a independent journalist. Can you tell me, so what does it say?
It says respect my existence or respect my resistance.
Okay.
So either I'm respected in this country alongside with my people, or we're going to fight back and we're going to witness conflict.
Yeah.
Are you an American? So what do you mean by your people? I'm an American of Filipino descent, Norwegian, Scottish. I don't call those people my people. I'm an American. Those are my people. My immigrant family who had green cards and became U.S. citizens, guess what? They call Americans their people. And they came here, well, legally, for a better life. And they don't keep, well, I know my wife doesn't fly a Filipino flag. She doesn't. She prefers that one. Weird.
And how do you guys want to fight back?
I believe that we contribute to the economy. We pay taxes. You know, just because our parents came to cross borders for a better future, I believe that this is the place that we have known as home for years, and we have each and every right to migrate just like alongside other people.
Yeah. What do you say to those people that say, like, well, you can migrate, just be here legally? What do you say to those
I
people?
feel like that is very controversial, I want to say, also very unjust and unfair. Because
How's it controversial? Can anybody tell? I want to know how it's controversial to say come here the legal way. I want to know. Explain this to me, Gen Z. I'll wait.
Because if things were so easy, it's actually easier said than done. And if
I
that
know.
were the case, I feel like each and every one would be here the right way. Unfortunately, that's
You
not
know why
the way things are.
it takes so long? One, they have millions of applications to go through. It involves interviews. It involves a physical. It involves a massive background check. Massive background check for local and the kind of like the federal portion of your country. What's wrong with that? They want to make sure you're not a spy. They want to make sure you're not a criminal. And they want to make sure you're mentally capable. What is so wrong with that?
Like, it's too difficult to come here, like...
Exactly.
Like, they
How do
need
you
to make
know?
the process... They need to make the process easier to come here legally, was you say?
How do you know what the process
so
is?
in the meantime, while it is very difficult, you would say that we should get rid of the borders. Like, what would be your solution to what's happening right now?
I would say no borders, no walls, you know, stop the deportations, stop separating families, because I feel that children shouldn't have to witness the fact that they should be allowed back in home and not see their parents there coming back from school.
No borders, yeah. And would you say that for the world or just for the U.S.?
I would say for the world.
For the world?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and
definitely I set up
Look
New
how well
York,
that
I set
worked
up our
out for the UK.
communities,
Yeah.
and also Free Palestine.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. And Free Palestine, just sneak it in there. No borders in the whole world. That's gonna work. Let's keep going.
I love your vibe. Can you tell me, like, I just want to shut down these claims. So one of them is like, well, what if like criminals come across the border and they do stuff, like they do bad things? Like, do you see that as like as a possibility if you open the borders?
Ooh, that's a difficult question.
No, it's not.
You caught me off guard with that one.
That's fine.
Yeah. So,
No thought of your own.
do you mind repeating it again?
Yeah. So like if we open the borders, then we could have some bad people come across and do bad things. And then that's sort of I hear it from the other side, because I interview both sides, and the other side says that if you open the borders, bad people can come in. And that's why we need to have borders. That's what they say.
I feel like that's definitely classifying, you know, just a group, like predominantly on like a specific, I want to say like band. I feel that just
Answer
like
the
there's good
fucking
people
question.
from, different parts of the world, there's also bad people. And yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
There's plenty more.
She didn't answer the question, though. What about the bad people coming in? What about the bad people ICE is actually arresting? What about them? You want to protect them? Sure the fuck seems like it. And it's not just that young lady. We know it's not just that young lady. Free Palestine. The fuck out of here. Ah, you see? You see how that works? I don't like Israel, and I really don't like Palestine. Because you know what? I give 2 fucks what happens in those countries. I don't.
More to show you from this protest, but real quick, if you're already shopping online, which you probably are because everybody is, browser extension, no get towards you, pay to shops. Back to the protest.
Hi guys. Can I interview you about your sign?
Sorry.
No? Oh, I just was wondering what it meant.
Well, I wrote "You're next" because it starts with the people that are illegal, air quotes, and then it goes to everyone else because in a fascist country, there's no one safe.
So they're going to start with people who are here illegally, then they're going to go with people who are here legally, and then, like, you think they're going to go out? Who would they go after that? Everybody?
Everybody,
like
yeah.
Jews, Christians, everyone?
Exactly. Every other minority is not safe.
So I'm not safe? You telling me I'm not safe? You said every other minority. So you telling me I'm next? I bet you I don't get deported. I bet you. Border child. What the fuck does that even mean?
Understood. Thank you.
You hear this a lot. They're going to come for illegal immigrants, then they're going to come for Jews, Christians, and everybody else. I think the part that's missing is that he's been president before and hasn't done that.
How old was your wife when you met her? How old was your wife when you met her? Thank you.
22.
I can hear you. No question. How old was your wife when you met her?
Really nice, and it's a new question.
Now can you understand me, you pedophile?
Why did you say he's a pedophile? I'm just pressed.
All you have to do is kids in cages. Your government
Like, how do you
kills
know?
children. That's what the IDF does. They just
Technically, he could not be wrong. However, how many Antifa are pedophiles? How many Antifa are pedophiles? How many Muslims are pedophiles? Free Palestine, right?
kids in cages.
It literally says in the Quran that it's okay to be a pedophile.
Is there a specific,
Not so many words.
incident that they did that? The IDF like raped a child or something?
Every day, man.
So when you ask these people to come up with an example, they never can. Somehow this protest became about Palestine, as it does. This is an anti-ICE protest, and about 80% of the flags were Palestinian flags. They were all covering their face with the same keffiyeh, which is universally understood as just a hatred toward Jews. So I saw this guy that was yelling terrorist at the protesters. So I figured he would be an interesting person to talk to. So here's my conversation with him. It actually goes into who's going to be running for mayor in New York City. It's all very interesting, so enjoy.
Well, how are they?
You see what's going on in California? That's terrorist acts right there. They're attacking Jews. That's not right. Anti-Semitism is real here in New York, and elected officials are doing nothing. They're actually there.
Bro, Jews
so
run
Ron
the world.
Mondani is running for mayor.
Is he right here?
I don't know if he is. He'll probably show up.
Yeah.
But he calls for BDS. He supports BDS. That's anti-Semitic. His father is calling for the state of Israel to not exist.
His father, Madani's father.
I'm anti-Semitic.
Mahmoud
But I'm
Mandani
pro-life.
is a professor in
Pro
Columbia
legal
University.
immigration. What
I
you
am
got?
not. I'm
Okay,
Puerto
so
Rican.
tell me,
I'm an American citizen. I'm a native New Yorker, and the Jewish community is part of New York City.
Tell me why you feel
New York
passionate
City.
about the Jewish community.
They're no different than any other community. But you cannot attack people. You cannot attack them just because they're a certain background. You can't do that. It could be easily Puerto Ricans. It could be easily
When I was,
Jewish. You can't do that.
in Iraq, if it was hot outside, we definitely paid attention more to the guys that are covering their faces. Not so much the women, because they typically had to be with a male. But the males, especially one wearing man dresses and the hair covering their faces, yeah, we definitely paid attention more to them. So, yeah, they're hiding their face for a reason.
I know plenty of Jewish people. They're fantastic people. It's disgusting, all this anti-Semitism. They say October 7th never happened. People that say the Holocaust never happened. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I see you got a Trump hat on.
Yes, we support Trump.
Yeah. So what do you think that he should be doing in California right now?
What he's doing now, what he's calling in the law enforcement, he's calling in the military. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You don't have to fear law enforcement if you don't break the law. The only people that don't like NYPD or law enforcement are the lawbreakers. That's it. And if they can't stand NYPD or LAPD, it's because probably they already have felony records. They've probably already been in jail. They've been through the system.
Oddly enough, guys, I think this is later on, not in this video. Let me double check first. There's actually more than Soros funding these things. And one of them, yeah, it's in there. One of them, believe it or not, is one of the heiresses of Walmart. She's supposedly helping fund these protests.
They should start making a database. They make a database of these individuals, because you may not want to hire them.
Yeah, I see so many Palestinian flags as well, and I thought this was about ICE. Why is it so related? Like, why are those always together?
Because they're probably weaponizing everything. That's all it is. They're weaponizing the immigrants are welcome here. We say legal migration, no discrimination, justice for all. That's what we say.
So
we got immigrants in our family. I'm Puerto Rican. We got immigrants in our family. We got
Puerto Ricans are American.
People from the Dominican Republic. We got people from Peru in our family. It's ridiculous to say that. The city council is full of blacks, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Asians. They weaponize all this stuff. These NGOs, the Working Family Party, they brainwashing people of color, and people need to realize that you have to think for yourself. You can't live in a bubble. New York City is not the world. New York City is not America. It's only part of it, you know. And if they could conquer one of the biggest cities in the world, that's disturbing. You know what I mean? And the way these council members, Alexa Viles' husband, threatened me on camera. These council members are radical left. I mean, they're just radical. They just hate this country. They want Zoran Mandani wants free the rent, free subway, free this. That's all socialism. That's also socialism doesn't work anywhere. It doesn't work anywhere. It might look pretty in the beginning, but it's not. You're surrendering your rights for money. That's all it is. Freezing the rent is money. That's all it is. That's not a way to live. A life lived in fear is a life half lived. You don't do that. You could get in the face of Tom Homan. But when I get in his face, he runs away. Right here, he said he was going to denounce Hamas, Hezbollah, and Sharia law. And he said he was going to do it, and he didn't do it. I stood here, and I listened for him to say it, and he didn't say it. So he's a liar. And that's why we call him a liar. We have proof that he is a liar.
So AOC has endorsed Mamdani, and that's to nobody's surprise, and the race is actually closer than you'd think, especially now. He has about a 30% chance to win, and a few of his policies include city-run grocery stores, freezing the rent, and abolishing ICE. Now, I'll obviously be doing an episode on who New Yorkers are going to be voting for very shortly, so subscribe and turn on notifications for that. But now I want to share with you some of the things that I saw during the protest that I think are really important, but were not interviews. Number one, I saw children at the protest. That to me is just nuts. I'm not a parent, but this is just not a safe environment. With the way that LA is looking, New York City can be next, and I just thought that was crazy.
They think socialism is going to save this country. They really do. Back to LA, guys.
Los Angeles, where a nighttime curfew is now in effect, more than 5 nights into the protests we've seen there. Police say they've initiated mass arrests of those refusing to clear out of the curfew zone. We're just waiting to find out exactly how many people were detained in this Latest round, the curfew covering only a small section of America's second largest city, just 1 square mile in downtown LA, affecting roughly about 100,000 of the city's roughly 4 million residents. Meanwhile, California's Governor Gavin Newsom has lashed out at the U.S. president over his decision to send thousands of National Guard troops and stage hundreds of Marines in L.A. in response to the protests over escalating immigration raids.
Donald Trump's government isn't protecting our communities. They're traumatizing our communities. Authoritarian regimes begin by targeting people who are least able to defend themselves, but they do not stop there. Trump and his loyalists, they thrive on division because it allows them to take more power and exert even more control. And by the way, Trump, he's not opposed to lawlessness and violence as long as it serves him. What more evidence do we need than January 6th? Trump is pulling a military dragnet all across Los Angeles, well beyond his stated intent to just go after violent and serious criminals. His agents are arresting dishwashers, gardeners,
are they illegal?
And seamstresses. That's just weakness.
Are they illegal?
Masquerading as strength.
You heard just the latest notable comments from the governor after this heated back and forth that with no end in sight between the two leaders. President Trump on his side, he's claimed...
What's going to happen when all these people running into 2028 are going to be like, oh, well, you're not running against Donald Trump in 2028, motherfuckers. I hope you know that.
If not for his actions, L.A. would have burned to the ground, he claims.
I want to applaud the courage and the strength of the incredible troops who are right now standing guard to protect federal property and personnel and uphold the supremacy of federal law. That's what they're doing. They're protecting our ICE agents. They're protecting the police in Los Angeles.
I saw that,
The state of California has sued the Trump administration over the troop deployment.
I was just
On
thinking
Tuesday,
that as I was
a judge
watching him talk.
denied the state's request to immediately stop the mobilization and then set a hearing for Thursday. Meanwhile, the current curfew will last another 4 hours until 6 a.m. local time, but the mayor says it's likely to kick in again at nightfall and could last several days, she says.
The city of Los Angeles is a massive area, 502 square miles. The area of downtown where the curfew will take place is 1 square mile. I think it is important to point this out, not to minimize the vandalism and violence that has taken place there. It has been significant, but it is extremely important to know that what is happening in this 1 square mile is not affecting the city. Some of the imagery of the protests and the violence gives the appearance as though this is a citywide crisis, and it is not.
An important reminder, despite what we're hearing from President Trump, the impact on LA has been relatively small and concentrated. CNN's Nick Watt was reporting from downtown LA when the curfew went into effect. Here's what he saw.
Remember, they're preventing VA or veterans from getting their VA
take their
appointment.
time moving through. They didn't just slam in and start arresting people. They moved pretty slowly. They gave people every opportunity to get out. Some people clearly decided not to, and those are the people that you're seeing right now being arrested by the LAPD. No,
but what really
LAPD.
pisses me off is, like, I said this before, they're calling these illegals their constituents. Did they vote for you? That's such an odd thing to say.
Local law enforcement. We did have, for most of the evening, National Guard guarding this federal building right here. In the past 5 or 10 minutes, they have moved inside. This is now in the curfew zone. The LAPD is controlling the curfew zone. The National Guard has moved back inside. The mayor,
Well, they shut down the 101 on
clearly
both sides.
wanting to take charge of this situation, not to see a repeat of what's happened over the past couple of nights, and also to make it clear that it's Los Angeles Police Department, not federal troops, that are here keeping this 1 mile square area safe. Listen, these protests have been very concentrated around this area. This is a 500 square mile city. The curfew is 1 square mile. The mayor making it very clear in opposition to President Trump that Los Angeles is not all burning. This whole city is not up in flames and not being held together by the National Guard. They want to make that clear. This has been a very isolated protest. And this afternoon, maybe 200 people outside the detention center. It was peaceful, people singing songs until that one spark that kicked everything off.
Stephanie, what are you seeing?
Until the one spark. That spark wasn't created by the federal agents.
You are.
Yeah, good morning, John. It's really worth noting that what happened yesterday started much earlier than what we've seen before, starting in the afternoon before that curfew went into effect at 8 p.m. local time. And there was definitely a change in tactic. It seemed like they were out there early, rounding up people. We know dozens of people at this point were arrested starting in the afternoon and going through to the evening. Take a listen to what Mayor Karen Bass had to say about the fact that they were going into a curfew and starting it so early, and it's still in effect right now. Take a listen to her.
My message to you is, if you do not live or work in downtown LA, avoid the area. Law enforcement will arrest individuals who break the curfew, and you will be prosecuted.
Why do you need a curfew if there's nothing happening?
And they were shooting these rubber bullets.
If there's no real violence going on, why do you need a curfew? Curious.
Bullets like this. Yesterday, we just found this on the street out here where we are. And it wasn't just happening here in Los Angeles. It was also spreading to other parts of the region, Orange County and Santa Ana, and of course, spreading out into other cities around the country. But the other thing that's worth noting here, that there were some more ICE raids that happened north of us in Ventura County, and some of the farm communities there. We saw that they were arresting people, bringing them in, and detaining them under these ICE actions outside of Los Angeles. To that point, we have a statement that from Representative Salud Carvajal, is a Democrat from here in California. He said, in part, these raids are not about public safety. They are about stoking fear. These are not criminals being targeted. They are hard.
Why don't we hear anything from the Republicans in California?
Working people and families who are an essential part of Ventura County. So as we've looked at yet a fifth day of protests and these clashes, I can tell you, getting out here overnight, John, that it is definitely a different tone. Things are shut down. You can see here that they have shut down access to and from the freeway as well, and they're probably going to keep it that through much of the morning. Back to you.
All right, Stephanie in Los Angeles.
Well,
Thanks to Sarah Seidner as well. With us now, Jonathan Wackrow, CNN law enforcement analyst. So the curfew in effect, I think I'm bad at math, for another 2 hours or so on the ground in Los Angeles. What's your assessment of how it has worked and why, if it has been effective, it has been?
Well, good morning, John. And listen, implementing a curfew anytime that you have any type of civil unrest is just another tactical tool that law enforcement can use. And in this instance, that tactical tool of the curfew is really rooted in the city's emergency power, and all with the aim of restoring order.
So it took them 5 days to do it?
The LAPD is using this right now to go from the passive position, the passive monitoring that they've been doing over the last 4 days, really into proactive enforcement. Once you start and have this area that is,
I mean, we are fielding new
again,
rifles and
that's
pistols.
a lawful order. That people who are actively engaged in activity within that area that are not, do not have a waiver to be in there, like working in the area or living in the area, they are actively ignoring lawful order. So it's easy for law enforcement to identify who is breaking the law and engage in this enforcement. It allows them to be more strategically deployed. Again, when you have the peaceful protesters now removed because they're abiding by the lawful order not to be there, law enforcement can now deploy strategically when movement is noted and the broader groups are limited. So again, this is a tactical tool, really, with the aim of preventing
Why weren't they doing it from the beginning?
Violence, looting, arson, etc. And I think that it is working.
One of the pictures we saw yesterday, and we saw it because ICE put it out, posted it on social media, was of National Guard troops in a perimeter around what appeared to be ICE agents conducting raids and arrests. That's not what you're looking at the screen right now. But we did see photos of National Guards at ICE apprehensions. If that continues, what will that look like or expands? And is that what you expect the Marines will be doing too?
Well, John, let me just take a quick step back here, because these protests, not just in LA, but across the country, are not in response to one single event. They're really triggered by this growing and broader opposition to what you're describing, these enhanced immigration actions and concerns of the militarization of immigration policy. But the challenges for local law enforcement, whether it's in LA or New York or anywhere else, is that they're charged with maintaining the actual order, but they're not part of this operation. They're not part of this immigration discussion. So what you've created now is this operational disconnect between law enforcement, who's trying to de-escalate, but they're not part of this the political action. And these issues are far beyond their jurisdiction.
Well, you're saying the local police were trying to de-escalate the situation. Yet, you're not talking about when their vehicles are being surrounded, spray painted, smashed, the cops being fucking spit on, Yeah, they totally have that under control. You fucking retards, man. These fucking analysts are retards. Where the fuck is my mouse?
California may be...
No, it's not just California. Gavin Newsom is calling for protests around the country. And if he wants them the same way they are in California, what do you think is going to happen? What do you really think is going to happen? You think black fatigue was bad? Just wait. What could actually happen? I like to call it illegal immigrant fatigue. Or socialist fatigue now.
First, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next.
First at 11, new comments from California Governor Gavin Newsom with a warning to the entire nation. It comes amid his war of words with President Trump after the president deployed National Guard troops to his state to respond to these anti-ICE protests without his support. Thanks for being here with us and staying up, everyone. I'm Colton Bradford.
And I'm Priscilla Casper. Tonight, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass declared a curfew because of these protests. And we are told law enforcement made 197 arrests today alone. Now, all across the country, people are rallying in support of the LA protests. This was from earlier this evening at Boston City Hall.
Yeah, let's check in with our Jericho Tran. She is following this story for us.
Holy shit. The vests are back. Those are event organizers.
She has the latest from Beacon Hill tonight.
ICE raids across the country igniting pushback from the West Coast to the East Coast. Here in front of the Massachusetts State House, hundreds gathered in solidarity with protesters in Los Angeles.
The resistance that we are displaying right now is in response to Trump releasing federal agents, heavily militarized agents, actually, and the National Guard on protesters.
We will not be deterred.
Airborne.
The mob in Los Angeles or anyone else, anywhere else, will not succeed.
In Worcester, a handful called for ICE raids to end in their city.
On Eureka Street, there was a
Take your
family
mask
that was
off,
there
bitch.
that was taken out of the city.
But in Lynn, a much louder call for change as ralliers demanded the release of a father of 3 children who
Have the guts to show your face. What an odd poster to have.
was detained on Monday. Louise Barreras.
I'm really passionate about keeping families together.
The cell phone video shows the frantic and emotional detainment of Barreras in front of his family, including his 8-month-old baby. We're told shortly before this exchange, Louise got a phone call from federal agents saying they wanted to do a wellness check on his children. Agents showed up to his house around 7 in the morning and arrested him as his son watched.
So they were watching him because they had to do a wellness check on his children. Why? Why would they need to do a wellness check on his children? Think about that, Boston 10.
He's a very good guy, and he's a good worker.
All this happening as President Trump looks to secure more funding for ICE.
They call it one big beautiful bill, so that's good. And that's what it is. It's great.
No, that one big
And
beautiful
it's currently
bill is
before
bullshit.
Congress. It provides all necessary funding for ICE, for Border Patrol, and for the Department of Defense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, bitch. I said it, bitch.
Oh,
You
yeah,
do it
this
better than
one,
me. Yeah. Got RFK and Maha, what he's doing.
Yeah. Frustrating. Very frustrating.
Oh, okay. Spill the beans.
Well, yeah. I mean, Kennedy was going to save us all, right?
Right.
He was the answer, right? We were very
That's
excited.
that's what Trump did with that vaccine, and Dr. Fauci, he's going to save everybody.
Right. He was going to be the wrecking ball.
Right.
It's just taking a little longer than I would have expected. And, you know, things coming out, like still, you know, yes, I'm glad it is off the childhood vaccine schedule as a step. But I mean, honestly,
Real quick, somebody's mic got unplugged.
Oh, man. What's that all about?
Can I take, is it okay if I take
Yeah,
this
you can
off?
take them. Yeah.
I would like
Just
the
when you
echo-
want to
the
hear
echo.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, so his the speed and I'm glad they're off the schedule. But honestly, I mean, I'm facing injured patients on a daily basis. The thing needs to be taken off the market.
Off
He
the
could do that
market.
with a stroke of the pen.
He can,
I don't
but
understand
Wisconsin
what he
or
has to
Michigan said,
lose, and maybe
oh
maybe
no,
he
they're
gets
still mandatory for children and pregnant women. Okay. I know where not to live.
fired. But I mean, can you imagine if he took the shots off the market and then Trump fired him? I
Yeah.
think people would completely
Yeah.
revolt.
Because Trump still touts that vaccine. He's very proud of that vaccine.
We
Yeah,
need to
which
need to talk some sense into him.
Yeah.
Rogan said he was going to talk to him.
Oh, really? You think Trump took the vaccine?
Hi, everybody. I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS secretary, and I'm here today with NIH Director Dr. Jay Bhattacharya
He's the
and
director.
FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary. I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women
What does that mean?
has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get yet another COVID shot despite the lack of any clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children.
That ends today. It's common sense and it's good science.
There's no evidence healthy kids need it today, and most countries
They're
have
definitely
stopped
reading this.
recommending
We're now one step closer to realizing President Trump's promise to make America healthy again.
It's probably somebody with a gun on the side. You say what word? I'm blowing your ass away.
That's the tone, isn't it?
Yeah. Looked like it was
Everybody-
under duress.
Yeah, you know what? Like Republicans, Democrats, I'm Republican. You know what? Everybody's full of shit.
Yeah.
When it comes down
feels
to
like,
it.
why can't you just speak the truth?
Yeah. Everything revolves around money
Yeah.
In power.
and power.
Yeah. When they say this country's ran by oligarchs, it's true.
Yeah.
But
we
we
don't
don't live in a free
It's
country.
just Elon Musk, though.
Huh?
It's just Elon Musk, though. That's the only oligarch they're afraid of.
I know.
Worried about.
He came out today, didn't he? And got upset with everybody.
About the budget.
About the budget.
Yeah,
Oh,
about the
Yeah, they
Trump's
kinda-
plan.
yeah, they kinda
big
feeding.
beautiful bill. Yeah. He says that plan is going to defeat all the work they did with Doge. Says it's going to add to the deficit. So, what do you think?
It is going to add
I
to
think
the deficit.
Thomas Massey
Sorry.
needs to be our next president. He spoke out against it.
Yeah.
And he got a lot of heat for that.
So people speaking out against that
Massey
bill,
Paul,
that's
2028.
the people we need in office.
That's what I think. Yeah. Thomas Massey.
You heard that, everybody? Thomas Massey. Look him up.
Yeah.
Only guy without an 8-pack handler, too.
Is that
Oh.
true? Wow.
Yeah, I really don't like that when a foreign nation,
Yep.
if they want to make that place up one of our states, then I don't have a leg to stand on. But that's still a foreign nation dictating who gets elected in our country. I think that's like horrible.
Yeah, I told Joe I would not talk about Israel and Gaza.
You don't have to. I can cut all this shit out. I don't want to get you
I don't
in no trouble. Just say no comment. Cut that Jew shit out. You don't want to fuck with them Jews. Yeah, we'll cut that. We won't even talk about it. There's no comment. No comment. Yeah. She already got the heat. Them Jews gonna really bring the heat. Yeah, I don't blame you. Do you think there's another pandemic that's going to be cooked up?
They're trying. I just read a headline that China is on
Yep.
lockdown, but they tried to. Well, I just read
that.
it one. That was. It doesn't seem to be in the mainstream news, from what I can tell. But they tried to scare us with bird flu right before the election. So I don't know. I think they're just upset over this new vaccine situation. And
It's probably a distraction, huh?
yeah, I mean that's
A
my
little
guess.
sob. Yeah.
But
Oh.
I'm not worried.
You just worried about them Jews?
No, I'm not. I don't. I love the Jews. I love
everybody too, but do not piss off a Jew.
Right.
I think that's why Diddy's like that right now. Hey, what do you think about? What do you think about Ozempic?
Oh no.
Here we go.
No, not a big fan.
Not a big fan.
No.
I was reading some of the side effects. One of them was exploding stomach. I was like, what the hell is that?
I mean, no. I mean, I'm a big fan of carnivore diet.
Yeah,
you
tried that?
Oh yeah, I did it for 6 months, and I lost 15% of my body weight. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah,
And
you're
eating
in great
bacon.
shape.
Yeah, that
I need
nasal
to try
rap
the
thing
carnivore.
disappeared.
Yeah, I need to get all this week. I need to jump on some carnivore. Yeah.
But it burns fat. I mean, you go into ketosis and you burn fat, and it's super simple, and you don't have to be on the rest of your life.
You're not counting calories neither.
No,
huh?
you don't count calories. You're I was snacking on bacon. I was taking bacon to
I
lunch
love bacon.
and just chowing down on bacon, and you're losing weight. It's crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Give me a second. Oh, they didn't say what her name is.
It sounds.
Don't ask
like
me
a
her name. I
product,
didn't
like
watch the full
eating
video.
A bunch of
Holy
fat
shit.
Right.
and protein, you will gain weight, but it's not. It's the carbs.
Yeah, my insulin level dropped to 0.2.
Yeah,
Which is crazy.
That's the key to losing weight. Keeping your insulin
Yeah,
levels down.
exactly. Keep the insulin down.
Well, Whoopi Goldberg, she's taking one of those drugs. She lost a lot of weight. She was like Fat Albert that way.
On Ozempic?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
she
think
lost a lot of
Mounjaro.
muscle too, though. You lose a
Right.
bunch of muscle,
Yeah.
and that doesn't spare the heart. You lose heart muscle too.
What?
Yeah, the
You
heart
lose
is a
heart-
muscle. What'd you say?
You lose heart muscle?
This is for you, what
Yes.
Govi and
Yes.
Ozempic
I
take.
just wouldn't mess with that. I mean, there's use some self-discipline.
Thanks, Yeti.
Right.
And
Carnivore.
and common sense,
What's that? I just posted on our
Little
Facebook.
exercise.
right?
Yeah, I just posted. What's her name? Osborne.
Sharon.
Kelly Osbourne?
What was her name?
Kelly Osbourne?
The
Yeah.
mom, I think it's the mom, right?
Sharon?
Yeah,
Yeah, Sharon
Osbourne. She was on Ozempic. I just posted about it in my article. I was having Biden brain there for a second, but she can't gain her weight back.
Oh, really? She's emaciated. And,
She looks
yeah.
emaciated. She cannot, and her
Her
doctors
lips.
don't know what to tell her. She
Yeah.
look like she got duck lips too.
Yeah, well, the muscles. You lose all that muscle mass, so it doesn't
okay.
spare muscle.
What is exactly is it? Is it? I heard it's lizard venom.
I don't know. I mean, maybe
That's
it
crazy.
could be.
Yeah. That's a nice
Oh,
lizard
right,
you
right,
found
the
there,
Gila,
Joe.
Yeah.
The Gila monster.
Interesting. Yeah. I just wouldn't mess with that.
You know what's crazy? There was other stuff,
Especially coming from that damn thing.
It was another drug. It was called Fen-Phen. You remember that?
Yeah. It got pulled off the market.
Got put off the market. And it's like every 3 or 4 years, this
There's
is
just
new
no
weight
quick
loss
fix.
drug.
There's no quick fix. Common
Exactly.
sense and self-discipline.
And I was like, that stuff, I said, man, that's another Fen-Phen.
Exactly. Yeah.
So stay away from
A
it.
very expensive fen too.
Yeah.
And one that you have to inject, which is even scarier.
Right. Well, another great drug brought to you from the pharmaceutical company.
He's right.
Crazy. Well, this has been great. It's been very enlightening.
All right, I might have to break this up into 2 different episodes. Yeah. My neck is starting to fucking hurt, and so is my back. so I kind of have to cut this short so I can, I don't know, go stretch or some shit. But yeah, I definitely have to do another part because a lot of this other videos I definitely want to get to as well. But there's only so much I can do at a time. And, well, it's not like these issues are going to disappear overnight. Because obviously they've been happening for the past 5 years, 5 days with these riots. Peaceful protests, I'm sorry. And the one they have coming up on the 14th of June, the No Kings protest or whatever is supposed to be going around this country. Everybody thinks this parade on June 14th is for President Trump's birthday. Unless President Trump is 250 years old and his name is the Army, people don't understand. This is the Army's 250th birthday. Why not have a parade? My son-in-law is attending that parade, marching in that parade, and he's taking it as a privilege. So what's the big deal? Oh, Donald Trump wants it. It cost $134 million. I get it. You don't like that. Yet you are supporting illegal immigrants, which just alone in California, $8.7 billion last year. Seems like a small piece of the pie. And then you take that $8.7 billion and multiply that by every other major city in this country. Because they're pretty much similar. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the content I have provided for you today. I totally have 10, 30, 35, shit, yeah. Like a whole nother hour and a half of content that I wanted to go over. But like I said, sometimes pain gets the best of me, even though I'm pretty good at handling it. But I don't know. Right now it's just like extra dumb. But I'm not telling you how to think. It's just retarded. I don't really like telling people how to think. However, I do want y'all to think. Don't be brainwashed by this legacy media. Don't be brainwashed by me. By all means, please don't. I just want y'all to think because that's all you can really do. And these people protesting, they're not thinking of their own free will. They're brainwashed. So, with that being said, hope y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah, Angela, I might come back later. We'll see, but that's not a promise.